Good afternoon. Welcome to the Friday, November 21st of 2025 meeting of the Kingston City Land Bank's Acquisition, Disposition, and Construction Committee. My name is Mike. I serve as the meeting's moderator. We do ask that members of the public limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes per speaker. And with that, I turn this meeting over to the interim chair, Joanna Dorman.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Looks like we have a little bit of a brief agenda, and we're going to start with the Keystone, and talk about the lotto coming up this Monday, right? So is that Mike or Kyle?
It's all Kyle.
I can cover it.
Thanks.
We have the lottery coming up this Monday, 6:30 p.m. City Hall, Council Chambers, second floor, along with our board meeting. So hope to see everybody there in person or on Zoom. We're going to be conducting a similar lottery to last time using ping pong balls and the old-timey wheel. This one should be a little more straightforward, just kind of given the size of the pool of applicants and the number of homes and their preferences. So it should be pretty straightforward this time around, hopefully. Yeah, same thing, hoping to knock it out in the first few minutes of our board meeting and then move on to our actual board meeting in another room once we conduct that. We will have a Spanish interpreter in person once again, and we'll be live streaming everything on Zoom for people who can't make it. Anticipate awarding one home to each family and then having 3 alternates for either home should somebody fall through for either home in order of selection in the lottery. Yeah, looking forward to it. I don't know, Mike, anything else to mention?
Covered it.
Okay.
I think that's great. Thank you. Unless you have any questions.
I guess just like any more information on like the numbers of, prospective homeowners that have made it through.
There will be 5 families or 5 households in the lottery.
Okay, great. Thanks. Looks exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other questions? So we can move on to the new home project. I see HCR written here. I'm not sure.
And sorry, Kyle and I didn't sort of block this out beforehand. Kyle, do you mind?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll support you on the HCR piece and I can jump on the GC RFP.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can swap.
think you're more tied in on
trying to read your face over.
Yeah, the design stuff at this
Cool.
point with Fred.
Totally. So it's an acronym soup that is to be unpacked at this meeting, but one of the major milestones following the previous major milestone, which was originally environmental clearance through the state of New York HCR. We received that some time ago. Kyle navigated that process amazingly efficiently. So now we are moving through the design review process. Okay. And this is the state of New York's design group reviewing to confirm that the modules and everything that we're building conforms with the 2023 HCR homeownership design standards. And so happy to report that it does. That was not a simple sentence to end on, but we fairly recently received that, and that will allow us to commence what's called PFS, which I don't know what it stands for, but what it means is that now the modular provider is reviewing with the state of New York to get approval for the modules so that there's no local municipal requirement other than pulling a building permit. So
and this is related solely to the structure, not the landscape, like not the land.
Not the site plan. The site plan has been approved through, that was earlier in the process. So we believe we have everything checked off for site plan review and approval. And because we also will have to pull a building permit, just for awareness, we're moving towards filing a building permit by the end of this year. That's a big piece.
Okay.
So the other component, I think we're just getting into it, but I wanted to mention that we've been offered, at least we've been presented with the roadmap to get to a contract for the federal home funds through the state of New York. So it's a multifaceted, it almost feels to me like it might end up being like a real estate, like a closing, like we had in the past with Legacy Cities, with a bank loan, but just less dramatic, hopefully, and less arduous, but still a fair amount of work to get there. We're in no rush to do so, but it does allow us to begin to expend those funds, which we don't need to do until quite some time from now.
Okay.
So those are, I think, the highlights. It's all going well. We're on schedule. And then we have the GCRFP, which Kyle is very much in the weeds on. Unless you want me to take it. I'm
Yeah, I
happy
mean,
to take it.
I haven't reviewed the responses,
I'll take
but
it.
yeah, we have one response so far, I believe.
We're working through one RFI, actually. So the one RFI is posted on our website now, request for information. Those are due today at 5 o'clock. So if anybody has any questions, we might get them in the next 90 minutes, but so far one, which is generally good. It means that we've put out a fairly transparent RFP. It's been promoted via social media as well. And so I know there were some conversations at other meetings, how folks were getting some feedback from other members of the contracting community who were interested. Responses are due back, my goodness, I should know this, I think the 28th or the 26th. And the reason that I'm stumbling over that is because it's not before a board meeting. And so just to reiterate, we would be seeking approval to move forward with the process of selecting an apparent successful respondent and then entering into a contract with them in between board meetings. And that's somewhat unusual, but the reason for that is just the timing of having everything together as far as the plans and making sure that we were comfortable, the state of New York was comfortable with our plans, and that there was a little bit of a time delay around that. But we do need to file our building permit by the end of this year.
We do, okay.
We do.
And our board meeting is in the middle of December this year, or no? Or
I think
we
it's
not?
the 22nd. No,
Oh,
we
it
do
is?
have one. I think it is the 22nd. It is.
Okay.
So we would want to enter into contract, or at least begin the process of entering into contract soon after the RFP responses were received and sorted through. So the 28th of November is when those RFP responses are due. So somewhere around the first week of December, I would anticipate that we're trying to move this process forward via email. And sorry, we usually like to do everything in committees, but
yeah, Rebecca, sorry.
No, I just didn't know how to raise my hand anymore because it's so complicated. I heard in another meeting, so many meetings, that there was hope that a contractor that we had used often was going to submit an application. Have they done that?
no one submitted an application. Sorry. So no one has submitted anything.
Nobody submitted anything yet? And that
No.
closes on the 28th of November?
It does.
Well, one person has submitted a request for information.
That's true, but no response is what I mean.
Okay.
Sorry.
No response.
I'm
Interesting.
not worried about it. I think that with the holidays, this was a bit of a crunch. I anticipate that we get things before Thanksgiving, probably the responses, rather than during Thanksgiving.
So my question was, I don't want to assume, but if you had only one candidate, would you extend a little while, or you can't do that because of the looming deadline, or it depended on the candidate?
I think we have to see what we get. If we only got one respondent, we have to evaluate against our budget and our anticipated, sort of familiarity with the candidate. If we received only one response from an unknown general contractor, that might prompt a request to extend this out, but that would come with its own set of challenges for the development as a whole. So we'd like to stick to the timeline, if that makes sense. I think we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Just curious.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious to see what happens.
All right, any other questions regarding that? Okay, can move on to 19A. I am not sure.
Sorry, Kyle, I feel like I got a lot of these this month.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay. So 19A for awareness is the second pathway under the City of Kingston disposition
Right.
policy by which we may receive the opportunity to consider responding in the affirmative to the city's offer for us to purchase properties taken through 19A. So 19A is vacant abandoned code proceedings. The big news is that we have received our first judicial ruling, or excuse me, the City of Kingston has received its first judicial ruling. We're reviewing it now with the title company and expect probably by the end of the year to have a firm read as to whether or not we're able to obtain title insurance, which is the first of many steps to confirming whether or not we'd like to purchase the property. These include a survey and a phase 1 report, and I'm probably forgetting some other things, but we have to make sure that it is something we want to purchase. But it's exciting because it's the first time we've seen this. This is probably the first time anyone has will have successfully received title insurance for 19A property if we are successful. So that'll be a big milestone.
And purchasing for the tax arrears? Or-
Actually, I got confused about this too because I was talking to the city about it earlier today. We would previously have purchased for the full price of back taxes many years ago before the disposition policy. We have set up the 19A proceedings to be based on the AMI that we intend to sell the homes to. So it's similar to what the policy looked like before. Currently, we would pay $7,000 if we were to sell the home at or below 80% AMI, plus hot off the presses, a change to the municipal service fee, which had previously been an additional $1,200, is now going to be $5,000. So the city is spending a lot more in legal fees. This is just to recoup legal fees. The city is spending a lot more to do this for the first time. I think it's equitable that we offer to share part of that burden to keep this process moving. So $12,000 plus probably some closing costs to buy it.
Better than the taxes, I would think.
Yeah, I would bet so.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Thank you.
of course.
And when will that sort of come to fruition? As far as like knowing, is it a long timeline or does it seem like it's going to move quickly?
Well, I will try to tell you everything I know, which is that by the end of this year, by the end of this calendar year, we hope to have found a title company who would be comfortable providing title insurance. Also, by the end of this calendar year, the City of Kingston would have filed its deed. It doesn't actually own the property yet, so that's why I don't want to talk about addresses and things.
Of course, yeah.
They would then own the property. Then, under a disposition policy, they would then offer us the property, giving us 90 days to accept or reject. Okay. Hopefully, we would have been working on this beforehand, either to maybe conclude that we don't want the property or that we are interested. So we'd be commencing with our due diligence within that 90-day period. So probably the second quarter of next year, we would be in a strong position to acquire.
Great.
That's my guess. Yeah.
That's great. All right. Any questions about that? Then we can move on to our last item on the agenda, the City of Kingston auction.
Sorry, Kyle, you mind if I take this one too?
Don't apologize.
Kyle and I both looked at all this. Because this meeting will be posted after the city announces on Monday, the city will be offering its first real estate auction. I won't announce the dates because they may change, but soon on Monday, I believe early next week, they will be announcing the first auction of real estate. And we have rejected all these properties through prior resolutions. I won't editorialize why we rejected them, but with good reason, I will say. And so we're excited that the city is moving in that direction in the sense that they have a backlog of many properties to work through. And we are comfortable knowing that if we did have interest in any properties, we could attend the auction. And we might attend a walkthrough of a property in January.
Okay.
Yep. So all those updates, like every month at the board meeting where I'm like, no updates, no updates, there's finally something to talk about.
Some updates. Exciting.
How often are they going to auction? Is there an idea of how long? I mean, you said there was nothing we were interested in, but we might walk through something in January.
Right. There's a new property. Well, again, I'm sort of speaking out of turn. There's a property that we hadn't accepted or rejected because it's a municipally owned property. And so it wouldn't have fallen under the city. I don't believe can foreclose on itself, although maybe I'm wrong about that. But that one would be interesting just for the sake of getting out of the house, maybe if folks were interested. that could be something. And Rebecca, to answer your question about how often, I don't know. This certainly is a process that historically had taken place, I believe, every November, but that was almost 10 years ago. So I don't know what the city's calendarized, timeline is for this. I think that's still right, because there still is a process that the city has to follow every year to proceed with Article 11 foreclosures, and it just hasn't done that for years. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens, I mean, I'm assuming that foundations could purchase property such as Novo or whatever as individuals, or there's no limit on who can purchase anything. I can
I
go
don't
and
think
get
so.
it with my green stamps. No, I mean, it's completely open.
It is. It's open to the public. Anything legal tender, including pennies, if you're still keeping pennies or nickels, pretty soon. So
Well, they're worth more than a penny, so.
you can negotiate at the courthouse steps.
Thank you.
Of course. That was all we had. If there were any
Yeah.
questions about anything else, Joanna, or there's something else you wanted to add?
All our projects are, as far as like construction profit and loss and all that stuff, I feel like we're through that now, right? So we don't have anything to look at in that regard.
This goes back to Kyle.
Keystone, we just have a few more expenses associated with the sales of the house and the lottery and things like that. And so nearly wrapped up there, but nothing major to report from last month. And we are in pre-development on other homes, but not at the point of significant
Spreadsheet.
spend at this point. Yeah. But that will be coming soon, hopefully.
There's support on the lotteried houses for closing costs. Is there a source, or does the buyer responsible for all the closing costs?
Kyle, you want to go through that? I know we're staring at spreadsheets intensely about it.
I defer to you on this. You got the
Sorry,
Okay.
this is a super
closing.
complicated
You've been
question.
through. No, you've been
It's-
through more
It's an
closings
interesting
than I have.
question. So typically, they forecast out what might be closing costs, which are anticipated on our sales to be somewhere around like $11,000 to $13,000, and then you try to find the grant to pay for that. And so a lot of times through the state of New York mortgage agency, there's what's called a down payment assistance loan, which can be utilized for down payment, which ours is very low, and then the rest of it can be used for closing costs. It's difficult to anticipate exactly what the cost to the purchaser would be. These are called purchaser funds. So the purchaser is always asked to show up with a checkbook. Ideally, that number would be very low, but there would be closing costs that a purchaser may have to pay at the closing table far below that number that I quoted earlier, but we never know what it is until we get there, to be honest, because some of these grants change the morning of, or some of the details change the morning of. For example, the title fee will change up until the closing has happened.
The grants are applied for by the buyer, or by the buyer with the REPCO advisor?
I think it's technically by the buyer, Rebecca, but REPCO is certainly helping them and shepherding that process where funds are available. Yeah.
Have they had an auction like this in Kingston in the past?
I probably still have photos of the one from 2018, which was, I think, the last one, November of 18. It might even have been November of 17, actually, because the land bank received its first properties in November of 18. So logic would tell me that 17 was the last one, and the land bank got everything that should have been in the auction in 18. So I think it's almost 10 years.
Wow. Amazing. All right.
Cool.
I do not have any other questions. What about you, Rebecca or Barbara?
I'm
No.
good.
So
No, I have no questions.
no questions? Do I call for a motion to
Sure.
end the session?
We can't leave otherwise.
We're just
Motion to
in limbo.
adjourn.
I hear a motion to adjourn is seconded by Rebecca. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. I think that's it, right? Okay. You all have a good weekend. We need it.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, bye.
Okay.